Hello, Cinema Peeps.
Hello, Cinema Peeps.
And I guess, belated Merry Christmas.
Yes. Oh, yes. Technically, this is after the holidays. So, happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Pardon me as I shut my door.
Ooh. And I think if everything goes according to plan, this should be on New Year's, which is the last episode. Not only our last episode, but also the last day of the year of 2024.
Yeah. Woot woot.
So, applause. We
Applause.
did it. We made it through another year, guys.
It's been a wild and wacky year, everyone. And I think we're all collectively just ready to let it go and move on to a new one.
Hells yeah.
I always love that one quote that I see people post around New Year's Eve all the time where they're like, remember to poop before midnight because you don't want to bring that shit into the new year. It makes me laugh all the time.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Right?
I always like seeing the ones where they're like, I'm just checking God that you're giving me the health and prosperity and blessings package this year and not the trials and tribulations package again. I don't need it. I don't want it and I don't need it. Oh my goodness. But yes, today it's all about finding Mr. Christmas and the happy holidays.
Woohoo! Honestly, this has been such a fun, I know we do the Hallmark things every year for the last few, seasons, but this has been one of the most fun, I think, because there's been a good handful of movies, but also I think the Finding Mr. Christmas really was just the icing on the cake.
I think it was Finding Mr. Christmas for sure.
Yeah.
It was a nice way to start off. Again, because I said, I don't want to watch too many films too early, but this was it started kind of early November to a nice way to ease in, and now a nice way to finish.
Hell yeah.
It's beautiful. But yeah, so it's been a hot minute. I don't remember which episodes we last covered on Finding Mr. Christmas.
So we ended up skipping. So we haven't talked about the finale, but we ended up skipping the second last episode via recording because of schedules. So
have we not talked about the ballroom dancing?
The ballroom dancing is the one we have not talked about, and this finale we haven't talked about.
Okay, cool. I thought we were behind on the campfire too for some reason, but okay.
No.
Sweet. All right. Let's get into this.
All right, get ready, guys. Here we go. I got the Hallmark flannel on. I'm ready.
Yes. Kendra's ready. We both have our little Santa hats.
Yes.
And this is my last Christmas sweater. We got a game theory with Pikachu, Piachu. No. I don't even remember anymore.
It kind of looks like a peep.
It is. It's like a marshmallow peep, but they gave it another name because it was all part of GT Live. If you
gotcha. Okay.
It's very cute.
Nice.
But yes, so we have the ballroom dancing episode. We had our top 4, Ezra, Hayden, Elijah, and
Blake.
Cowboy Blake.
Yes.
Which I'm not going to lie. So, Jonathan, I love you, but also fuck you, politely. He spoiled the last 2 episodes for me. So I knew Blake was going home even before the episode aired, and I knew Ezra had won before I even got to watch the episode.
Yeah.
I was like, Jonathan, you have to remember us poor people who have to wait a week for it to come on the Hallmark
Let's give him the
channel.
benefit of the doubt. I think he was just really excited about this, and I don't think he understands or knows about Marvel rules. So, because if any of you know out there, Marvel rules are you have to wait at least a good chunk of time before spoilers come out as respect for all the people who, don't get the chance to see the movie right away or see the show right away. So, I call them the Marvel rules. So, I think everyone needs to, people need to learn it, but not everyone knows. So
now you know, Jonathan. So next year, no excuses.
Exactly.
I texted Kendra and she's like, oh no. She's like, oh, you should have had it muted. I'm like, I know.
I learned long ago that you have to keep the people muted right before, the big important things.
Right?
Yep.
So I got spoiled that Blake was eliminated, which I thought was really interesting considering when I read the description of the episode of it, oh, they're doing a Christmas waltz. I'm like, I remember I think reading that before getting it spoiled and I was like, oh, this is a shoo-in for Blake. Easy peasy.
Right.
So to find out he got eliminated, I was like, what? I'm like, What did he do to fuck up so bad? What the fuck did he do? But I thought it was really sweet they brought all their siblings out
And
then Elijah had his actual wife come out.
Yeah.
Her girlfriend. I thought it was funny. I was like, that's also your sister?
I know. I was like, wait, what?
Like, so many sisters. And then, of course, they're all getting up there, like, on the elimination stage, because this is the one and the only time they did a challenge on the same stage as the elimination.
Yes.
And as they're bringing out the siblings, I'm like, did they learn the dance too? Do they have to dance with their sisters?
That's what I was wondering too.
I was like,
do they have to dance with their sisters?
Right? Because I was just like, that girl from Australia, like, she's gonna, like, she might be really jet lagged. Like, I don't know how she's gonna be able to do a dance. But yeah, no, they definitely did not. They basically did the dance with the Dancing with the Stars coordinator.
Yeah, she's from Dancing with the Stars, yeah.
Yeah, so they all danced with her, so I was like, okay. But it just made it extra confusing because it was like a very long, thing with her bringing them all up, so I just kind of figured that they would be incorporated into the challenge.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a little weird, but then I was like, whatever. Jonathan just wants to give them a little tweet. That's
yeah.
A little tweet.
A little taste of home.
No tweet.
And I also liked, too, that I think it was just before they did the dance, unless I'm getting the episodes mixed up. But yeah, before the dance, he came into the house and sat down with the guys and just wanted to let them know how proud he was of them and ask them if they had any questions for him for, like, acting advice and stuff like that. And I thought he gave a really sweet, really authentic kind of piece of advice for all of the guys. And it was very sweet to see how happy and excited and proud he was of them and how far they've come. And yeah. It was really cute.
His babies.
Yeah, his students, his protégés.
But yeah, I think for the most part, from what I remember, everyone did, like, fairly well. I know they were all nervous. I think Blake was the only one who got really dinged because he was like, start over! And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because he missed the move where he had to grab her hands, right? And she was, like, trying to signal him.
Yeah.
And I think he was just a little too nervous, I guess.
I think they said nervous, and, like, I don't know. It's tricky because I feel like maybe it was just Blake's time to go at this point in the competition, because, he did really well, but it was obvious, like, even the last challenge, they were like, oh, he didn't quite tap into that vulnerability on the last challenge as much, so he was already kind of, getting to the nitty-gritty of things, basically. And I think that's where his inexperience was kind of showing.
Yeah.
But, like, to be fair, like, he could have just kept going and just pretended like that was the one thing I learned from being in choir. Like, even if you fuck up on a dance move, just own it. Because nobody knows. Like, they don't know the dance routine. So if you just own it, they go, oh, that was intentional the whole time. Like, when I boldly turned the wrong way. There's 60 of us on stage, and I turned the opposite way. I actually did more work to turn the opposite way, but by God, I made sure that I was like, nope. This was on purpose. I'm a star.
I am a star.
Right? So, like, it's hard because, like, I don't know if that would have saved him. Sorry, that was my point. That's my point. I don't know if he just kind of went with it, if they would have been like, oh, that's fine. Or if they still would have dinged him. Yeah. Because I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, as we learned the next episode of the finale, that they take about 15 days to shoot these Hallmark films. So I thought that was interesting. That was a really fun tidbit to learn. So, again, if they're thinking of, hey, we only have 15 days, and if he can't pick up this dance that quickly.
Yes.
So it's hard to know, but I had a sense that it was him and, like, Jonathan. Like, I was sensing, like, yes, this is their times to go. Like, yeah. This is where it's getting a little trickier, and you're inexperienced, and because there's so few left, right? Like, any minuscule mistake is gonna point it, like be even more obvious. Yeah. Basically. But in the end, though, especially with, like, watching the film, again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, I just don't think Blake would have been right for the film.
Right? See, and I feel like that was also, like, I mean, that's what we've been saying from the beginning of this whole show, right? Is kind of, like, imagining which, like, and I think that's the interesting thing too, is the fact that we knew the plot of this movie before, like, as this Finding Mr. Christmas show was happening.
Yeah.
You keep that in the back of your mind, and then like as the viewer you start to kind of, it's almost like reading a book, you know, when you read the book before the movie, and you kind of like, you just picture the characters in your mind and who they look like, and so it's kind of like that, right? And so as you get to see all of these guys who are eligible for this role, you start to like dwindle which one seems like it fits, right? And so yeah, definitely it was his time.
Yeah, so unfortunately he got eliminated before the final 3, but as we went into the finales, it was just Ezra, Elijah, and Hayden left.
Yep.
And they decided to open the episode and be like, you know what? No festive face-off, bitches. We're going right into the star quality. Get fucking ready.
Yep.
And they had the same... I already forgot her name. The same lady who directed their vulnerable scene just
Allie
2 episodes
something.
later. Yeah. She was directing this one, but it was a more complex scene in the sense of like it was more like what they would experience on a film set, where you have to film multiple scenes in one day.
Yep.
And sometimes all out of order, even though they definitely filmed in order their sequence, but whatever. I see the points they were trying to make during the thing. Versus, you know, most of the time they've just been doing like a one shot.
Yeah.
A multi-camera, of course, but like basically one shot, one location.
Yeah.
Not too much moving around and whatnot.
Yeah.
But this one had blocking and stuff, so
yeah, and the biggest. I was gonna say, and the
you
biggest
go.
part is that it was also a kissing scene too. So.
What was my thought? Although I don't know why I thought it was really funny. Hayden's like whole little thing was like, oh yeah, like I'm not very good at kissing scenes. I'm like, found his weakness. He can't be good at kissing. Sorry, Hayden. Although to be fair, he was like, I did a kiss when I was like 16, and I was like, bruh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I know they were just trying to create a little bit of like tension, but I was just like, okay, he kissed someone when he was 16. He sucked at it, obviously. Like, yes, maybe he hasn't kissed someone like a stage kiss in a long time, but I'm sure he's fine.
Right.
I'm sure he's fine. But yeah, I know, because I immediately texted you when we were done, because I was like, what did you think of everything?
Yeah.
But I just want to say, like, I'm happy Elijah like made a choice, but I'm also like, this was the wrong choice.
Well, that honestly, like, I was
woof.
shocked, but also like just mildly not impressed, but just kind of like surprised, I guess, at like some of the choices each of the guys did.
Yeah.
Like, it seems, I mean, I guess the fact that there's the competition aspect added onto this, that, you know, it makes them kind of be like, okay, I'm going to put my own spin on it, kind of thing, to win the judges over. But it seems like a pretty, like, generic scene, other than, you know, the whole kiss, you have to sell it, right? So yeah, I was really surprised at, like, some of the choices each of the guys made, and... yeah, like that choice was okay, but, like, the fist bump with the kiss, I was like...
that already, I was just kind of like, and maybe just because we've now dwindled down to so few of them, but I feel like I noticed more with Elijah, especially because, again, the big thing, he was from Hamilton. But, like, to me, this was his most, like, it felt like he was, like, in a stage production, which, again, like, that makes sense. He was on a production for 5 years.
Yeah.
But yes, and I think maybe that's why maybe he did the boombox action as a way to, like, here's to remember my lines, and something, you know, again, neat and quirky. Yeah. But at the same time, it's also like, ooh. The second he did that, I was like, oh, I'm like, okay. And then he's kissing, then he's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Elisha, what? I think it just made me laugh extra hard because it reminded me, you've seen Sky High?
Yep.
So I was watching behind the scenes like many years ago, and the director was like, yeah, so when he has his first, like, the big kiss with Danielle Pennebaker, he's like, the first thing he does is turns around, he high-fives somebody, and the director was like, what are you doing? So I don't know why, but that just reminded me of that. And it's just like, yeah, and I was just like, guys, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Save it for the Breakfast Club, guys. Save it for the Breakfast Club.
Oh my, I was like, this is so much Breakfast Club vibe. Like, what he did, I was like, oh my god.
Right? Very much the what do they call them? The Brat Pack? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god. But again, like, again, I'll probably say that we'll probably say this a lot, but I do hope that like maybe they do get something in the future, because cool. Obviously Hallmark like knows that they're good enough. So yeah, I do hope Elijah gets something. All three guys are really talented.
Yes, definitely. I just think my mom actually put it really good. She was like, as much as she, like before we watched the movie, obviously, she was like, I just feel like Hayden and like again for like the plot of the movie that they were supposed to be in, she's like, I feel like Hayden and Elijah seem more like best friend characters and not so much leading man, just at least for that movie. Maybe they would be in like a different kind of movie. Elijah can do really good leaning into the comedy and the quirkiness, so if it was something more along those lines, he'd probably be really good for it. But like Ezra really has that like Hallmark leading man kind of physique and like just how he carries himself, and like obviously if he's able to deliver the lines properly, he's got like the whole package kind of thing, right?
Right. But yeah, so then there was Elijah's already gone. Sorry. To be fair, we didn't know he was gone, but after the fist pump, me and my friend were like, oof, well, you're out.
Yes.
You're out. Like, sorry, Elijah, that's just not that kind of movie. So we were left with Mr. Hayden and Ezra.
Yes.
Which was very funny, because like I said, we were chatting already. I do think Hayden did better for the vulnerability of the scene. However, now watching like the film, I don't think he would have survived.
Yes. Right? I know. That's exactly what I thought.
There's one level where I'm like, oh god, he's not living through this movie.
Yep.
And I mean, I think Ezra really stepped up, though, in the movie. Although, I was questioning a lot. I was like, oh, did he grow that? Or did they color that in?
Yeah.
It was very... I mean, maybe it was a little both, to be fair. But I was like, oh, he's got a little stubble. Like, oh, okay, Ezra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think... Sorry, going back to the finale, I think what really sold it... I think, like your mom said, where... No. What am I trying to say? I think Hayden did better acting in the scene, in my opinion. However, I think Ezra was better at like bringing her in.
Yes.
Like, you know, versus Hayden, and definitely versus Elijah, who just stood there and was like, boombox. He like brought her in, and even the actress was like, oh, he took the lead, and that's what I like to feel. I was like, okay, that's confident.
You're like, whoa, okay. There, lady. Keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants.
Right? Is Vicky on set?
Yeah, where's Vicky?
She pulls off her mask. It's Vicky the whole time. What's up, bitches? It's me.
Yeah, no, I think with all due respect to Hayden, I think he's a great actor. He definitely has the chops and stuff like that. But I just felt like he. Like I was telling you, like his eyes were too desperate. Like he just felt too desperate in his performance for that kissing scene.
Well, yeah, he wants that Hallmark film. He's like, give it to me, please.
And I'm like, again, with that, and then knowing the plot of the movie and what you just said, I'm like, this movie would have had such a whole different vibe if Hayden got the role for this. And then, again, that's no offense meant to Hayden. It's just like with that performance we saw, and like knowing all of the things that he brought to the Finding Mr. Christmas, it just would have been such a whole different vibe.
Right. Again, yeah, and that's another thing that kind of sucks, because, right, if they're going for a certain vibe of the film, like, again, there's other guys in the competition, because I remember for a while we're like, oh, Parker would have been a good front runner for a while.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, depending on, like, what the mood is for the film, you know, like, yeah, like we said, Blake would not have been. I mean, I think we even said that early on, like, Blake's probably not the fit.
No.
For this particular Hallmark film.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. That kind of works against some of them.
Right.
But
and because, like, the tone of the film was, like, it was not overly, like, quirky and, like, joyful like some of the Hallmark movies, but it also wasn't, like, super sappy either. It was kind of a good mix in between. So I was very impressed with Ezra's performance for it, for sure, considering. But yes, I continue.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, like, it kind of sucks, but I mean, at the same time, that is, like, the part of showbiz, right? Yeah. Like, you want to give everyone a golden ticket, but especially if you need something specific for this project, like, you can't. But as we've said, we really do hope. I really do hope that Hayden, Elijah, you know, and even like Blake, you know, I hope they do get like some, you know, role in Hallmark, because again, they've already kind of proved their chops a little bit. So they're looking for somebody new. They kind of have a roster lined up, except for Gage. No, thank you. Sorry.
No, thank you. Sorry.
And none for Gage. Bye. But yeah, overall, I loved finding Mr. Christmas. Thank you, Jonathan, for realizing that. Just some notes. So, first of all, we hope there's a season 2.
Yes.
Next note, let's find Mrs. Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Why not?
You know?
That would be cool.
And as Kendra suggested, maybe the 3rd final season, you find both.
Yeah.
It's a big, spectacular...
One big happy family. Let's get some new blood in there on both ends.
Right.
See how they do. I would be so into that.
Mm-hmm. And then again, my final... It's not really on the show. It's just, again, maybe it's just one of those hope things again. I did really hope that we'd actually get to see a chemistry read with the main actress.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Again, maybe that was in the works, but I really do hope that maybe they integrate that next year.
Yeah.
And again, I really hope that... I was really, again, hoping... Again, I knew I was getting my hopes up that the guys would have cameos in the Happy Holidays. Yeah. But we still got a special cameo.
Yes. Oh, it was so cute.
So, you know, I am happy. But again, if we're going to do another season, I say, like, the, you know, top 3. The first person gets, obviously, the main role. And the other 2 get 2 little quick bit parts.
Right? Yeah.
That's just my thoughts on it. But yes, thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan.
Beautiful.
It was very well done. You did a great job, and you showed your heart and just how sweet of a guy you are, and rooting for you all the time. And yes,
boombox.
Jonathan's the real Mr. Christmas.
But yes, so now let's get into happy holidays. Holidays.
Yes.
So I have a lot of mixed feelings about this movie.
Me too, honestly.
Oh, perfect. Love it. Let's go. Let's fucking go. So we open up with our main character, who now I've realized I forgot her name. Mia. Thank you. Mia, she's having a tough time. Yes. You know, she's sleeping with a whole bag of Lay's chips. Somehow didn't crush every single one of them. And was like, this is my breakfast now, I guess.
Yep.
So
also, what is that house she lives in? Like, damn.
Oh, it's just my apartment. I'm like, bitch, you live on the water. What the fuck?
You have a literal boathouse.
I'm glad we both clocked that. We're like, excuse me?
Right? I was like, damn, I wish I lived in that.
Right? I was like, that's pretty fucking nice. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know about you. So like that opening vibe, right? Like I got the vibe of like slob and like clearly like maybe a post breakup type thing.
Yeah.
You know, and she's just like, I'm just trying to, you know, she's a little hermit. She's like, I'm just trying to get through. And I was like, okay. And again, I know I'm jumping a little ahead of a bit, but then you get to like the halfway point of the film, and then she drops like this big ass bomb that she goes, oh yeah, I used to be a doctor, and this person died on my operating table. And then I just decided never to go back. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, this is not the vibe I was getting.
There were a lot of like sharp turns in this movie for the story.
Cool.
Like, yeah, I felt the same way. I was like getting a little bit of whiplash with some of the. I'm like, what?
Right.
This is a new plot. What?
And
oh my God.
I feel like Mia got the brunt end of that.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And I was just like. Like I said, I know, I was like, it was very cool to find out, you know, they film the Hallmark films, like it takes them about 15 days to film. Obviously there's pre-production, but I was like, did you also write the film in like half a day? Because like, what the fuck's going on? They just felt like there was too much whiplashing, and so.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was cohesive enough altogether.
Yes.
It wasn't so much to the point where I was like, huh? But yeah, like there was a few things that was just kind of like, whoa, okay, like just pulled out of nowhere, okay.
Right. And I just don't think they should have gone with like a doctor who lost a patient on the table. Because again, they never
just
really
established that earlier on.
Or like in a different way. Because like I said, like the opening scene to me, like you said, like it wasn't sappy or like overly cheesy, but to me it was just like a person who's clearly like, this is like a post breakup kind of person. Like they're just trying to funnel through life, and that's totally fine.
Yeah,
but...
well, I even got the vibe because she was a tourism
Yeah.
journalist or something like that, and that was like what we read in the synopsis at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, so she's like, I'm getting the vibe that she's, new-ish to the town. She's just, only been here recently, but this is the job she got. She doesn't know the ins and outs of the city, so this is going to be her like exploring it at Christmas and finding all the special things. Like, that was kind of the vibe I was getting at first, and then it like went a whole other different way, and I was like, whoa, okay.
Right? And I was like, this is a lot to handle.
Yeah.
And then like they kind of, and again, I guess I just can't get over the fact like that's their like, I don't know, that's what they chose. You're right. I think they just should have stuck with the fact that she was new to town, and maybe she's like, like, because again, they emphasize like she only got this job in part because her friend is the boss.
Yes.
So again, being new to the city and like, being maybe a job she's not really good at, it's like, yeah, just get out there and you'll learn that you're actually really good at it.
I believe in you. You can do this.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, I was very confused on the timeline as well, because she said, she's worried about her. It's been 6 months, but then she also mentions to Max's character that she'd been in Denver as like a caterer. She was a waitress somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite catch. I was like, was that all in the span of this? Like, I thought the 6 months was her in Seattle.
Yeah.
Like, how long is this? Like, they didn't really specify a timeline for that.
Yeah.
So then it made it very hard when these characters are like, we're really worried about you, Mia. And then, you find out this fucking bombshell of a fucking plot point. Then I'm kind of like, you gotta let her be.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Let the girl figure her life out, y'all. Like, Jesus.
Right? Like, again, I know Hallmark's just doing their best, and they're not. These aren't masterpieces of like, a character like going through grief, but
well, I'd be curious to know too, like maybe I'm thinking too deeply into it, but I feel like they do have to try to like I feel like they do have to try to like keep some relevance to the age range of the audience as well, and because this, I felt like these characters were supposed to be kind of like in our age range generation. I was wondering if like they were trying to take what maybe our generation's struggling with right now and figure out how they can make it relatable in that way, but it was just like
too many things.
Yeah.
Too many things.
Yeah.
Right? And like I said, I know they're Hallmark films, they're not the pioneers of like
storytelling
depth. Yeah. But it's like, maybe like you shot yourself in the foot. Maybe not do that.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like, yeah, I'm a doctor and I did it because I liked being a doctor with my parents, but I just found it was just too difficult and it was something I no longer loved.
Yeah, it was something I thought that was the dream, and then I got there and realized I don't want to do it anymore.
Right? Yeah, sorry. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yeah, I think that was like, yeah, the whiplashy, I agree with you. I think they should have asked us to workshop that script. Because, I think just because when you said, like, oh, like, our generation, and it's like, yeah, I feel like that's still, like, a really nice story, regardless of, like, generation of, like, hey, I started to do something that I thought I wanted to do, but it turns out it just wasn't quite the right fit.
Yes.
And then I feel like it would have been so, because then there was like the thing with her parents where she goes, like they're so ashamed of me, but like to me there was such a juxtaposition of like, you just said like you witnessed like someone die on your operating table, like, and again that's why I want to know the timeline, because like the way your friend and your parents are treating this is a little weird.
Yeah.
And again,
I mean her parents still didn't seem quite as ashamed of her as she led on to believe, so I don't know if that was intentional and that was just like them, or like the writers trying to make her seem like she's overthinking it, and really her parents just love her and support her, just want the best for her no matter what, but she's maybe projecting her own shame and guilt onto them. But again, this seems like way too deep for a Hallmark movie. So I know.
But no, I also feel like this must have been a last minute script change.
Must be,
because it was so weird. Because again, her parents are just like, they were also doctors, and they were like, it happens, and I'm like, that seems like the wrong thing to say.
Yeah, true.
You go, hey, sweetie, yeah, like, it sucks that, like, sorry this happened to you, yes, we can't save every life,
Yeah.
and that is, like, again, there could have been a really good conversation, but they just they glossed over it, and I don't think the film really gave a shit either, because then they were like, don't care about this anymore, woo, on to saving the dogs.
Right, we have to keep it light, not too deep, not too deep.
I know. So, like, I think that was a bad choice. It was a bad choice because that was a weird whiplash, and I was just like, what the actual fuck?
I think this is just our sign, Kaylee, that we just need to go work for Hallmark. At this point, we have to go work for Hallmark.
Call
Give
us up.
Call.
We got this. Yeah, apart from that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to shit on poor Hayden. That whole thing with the toy biscuit scene, I was like, did they write that after they did Finding Mr. Christmas?
I know. I was like, this is just a little too brilliant. On the nose.
I know. They must be. Conspiracy theory, they must have.
Right, which is why, like, confirms my whole thing where I'm like, if Hayden had won, and then, again, like, with his whole backstory and everything like that, I'm like, come on, this poor guy has to deal with all of that in this movie. The whole vibe of the movie would have been just so sad. So sad.
Especially because, like, he's like, oh yeah, my girlfriend just packed up and took the dog. I'm like,
know.
How is that not parallel to what happened to Hayden? Like, that's why I wonder, I'm like, was there, like, something a little different about it? Because the doctor thing just doesn't quite jive. I was like, they were like,
or did they just
we struck
take
gold
elements of all the guys from Finding Mr. Christmas and incorporate this in? Like, I guess if there was at one point where, like, Ezra's character was like, yeah, I was on Broadway at one point, like, I would have been okay.
That was it. I also giggled when you were, like, on the photo challenge and you're like, we never see a man with his shirt off.
I'm like, oh god, here we go.
I wheezed. I know the scene I was supposed to be like, oh wow, but I just thought of you and you're like, they never take their shirts off. He's just standing there. I was just like,
but they don't. They really don't. This has to be the first time.
I agree. Like, it made me laugh. I mean, Ezra, you got a great body. It was just really funny. I'm just thinking of Kendra, and I'm just like, what is she thinking? What is she thinking about this?
I was kind of like, what's happening here? What am I watching?
Chef's
also,
kiss.
On top of all this, too, like, again, to me, this felt more just like a normal Hallmark movie, not so much a Christmas Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
At least up until the end. It felt more Christmassy at the end, but I just didn't get the whole vibe of Christmas around everything else. Yeah.
Again, like we said, we want to know when Mr. Christmas was shot versus when this movie was shot. Like, we want to see the timeline.
Yes.
You can give us, Jonathan, just slide into our DMs and just give us an idea of what the scheduling was. Yeah. We won't share it with people. We just want to know.
We're film nerds. We like this stuff.
We just want to know, okay?
Yeah.
I definitely, I feel it. And I mean, maybe it's because, again, they filmed them all, Seattle, Vancouver,
Yeah, definitely Vancouver.
But it was very green. Did you know, like,
yes,
it's very green.
So
it must have been maybe even the summer.
Oh, probably. I feel like, considering, I mean, again, going off of timeline, I feel like Finding Mr. Christmas must have been filmed either, like, end of winter, beginning of spring, maybe, and then they filmed it in the summertime, because they seemed like they were still chilly filming Mr. Christmas, so, but I don't know.
Right. And I guess that's my other note too to Jonathan when he does season 2 of Finding Mr. Christmas or Mrs. Christmas. I get that it's a package deal where they have to do the show, and obviously they want to capitalize and release, like, the Christmas film right off the bat. But yeah, just because I just didn't get a lot of Christmas vibes. And again, I know it's filmed in Vancouver, but it seemed very green for that time of year. So, like, could they have not, like, waited or backed up? But again, I understand they're trying to capitalize on the show. Well, they don't want you to forget, right? Because I feel like, again, I'm sure, like, I feel like most people who watch Hallmark, they're like, I'm not saying we're fanatics, but, like, we're dedicated fans,
Yes.
So, like waiting in a year, like, would it really hurt the numbers, I guess, is my question. But again,
well, but the other thing too is, like, you look at all of the Hallmark movies that they've done, and they use fake snow.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, I mean, I've only been to Seattle once. I went to Seattle in September, but my question is it like Vancouver? Vancouver technically gets snow, but like, do they not get snow at all? Or, you know, like, I'd be interested to know that, because then my other my other note would be, you could have used fake snow to give it like a little bit of like, you know, seasonal vibes and stuff like
seasonal
that.
Cheer.
But I had to laugh because, yeah, obviously they try to establish that the movie's filmed in Seattle. So my mom's like, oh, there's some really beautiful places in Seattle. Like this, we have to check out Seattle. And I'm like, yeah, it's a really cool place. And in my head, I'm kind of thinking like, it's right underneath Vancouver, so it looks very similar. It probably could be Seattle. And then they go to the farm, and the farm is literally the Kent farm from Smallville. And I'm like, it's Vancouver. This is totally Vancouver. They lied to you, Mom. They lied. She's like, oh, well. I guess.
Well, I'm never going to
Vancouver.
Seattle now.
Yep.
You've just lost one potential
I'm
client
like, see,
to come
this
to
is
Seattle.
why everyone loves Vancouver.
But yeah, I will say, if this wasn't part of the Finding Mr. Christmas, I would not have watched this film.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It was definitely a bit of a snoozer, but I think the whiplash was like enough to make me go, "Wah, wah, wah."
I'm awake, yeah.
And again, I was there to support Ezra, so, you know.
Yeah.
Good on ya.
Like, considering this guy, because he was a Marine originally, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be, a Marine turning actor, I gotta give him, give him some credit for...
was it very vanilla? Yes.
Oh, yes.
However, like, I'm not gonna, kick a man, I guess he's not down, but, I'm not gonna, like, poo-poo on his parade,
Yeah.
I'm really happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I just think the writing in this film was very odd, so I know both him and the actress who played Maya, I think they were just doing their best.
Yes.
She also had she had a bunch of lines where I'm like, oof, I don't know how you delivered that with a straight face. Good on you, But yes, okay, right. Sorry, I don't know why we kept this hidden, but the fun secret cameo at the very end was Jonathan stars in it as like a
Jonathan
very
Bennett
eager,
comes in, yes,
like pet adoptee person.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, you're much nicer than people say you are. And he's like, okay, Mr. Christmas. And I was like, ha ha.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cute. Again, I would really like it if we saw Hayden and Elijah, but maybe, I don't know. But yeah, like, again, overall vote, this film is very vanilla. Again, strictly watched it because it was Mr. Christmas related.
If you didn't watch Finding Mr. Christmas, this movie would probably be a thumbs down for a lot of people.
And again, I agree with you. I didn't get a whole lot of Christmassy vibes until the very end, and they look for Christmas trees. Again, also didn't help that it was very green at that time of year, very odd.
Yes.
But yeah, again, applause to Ezra. Like, good job.
I'm proud of him. I'm very
one,
proud of him. Yeah.
And again, I hope this means that there's more to come.
Yes.
Because really. Sorry, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I would be right. I was gonna say I would be really disappointed if this was his one and only shot and they didn't try to give him other chances, or he didn't like. I mean, if he does the whole hey, I tried it once and now I'm good. Cool, but like I feel like if this is something he really is truly passionate about and he wants to continue pursuing, I do hope that they do give him more chances for sure.
I agree.
And even just not in Hallmark, like maybe in other projects too.
You never know, but. Yes, the longevity is really, I think we've said this before, longevity is going to be the kind of interesting thing going forward.
Yes.
And again, I really do hope Finding Mr. Christmas or Mrs. Christmas gets a season 2.
Yes.
But yes, again, applause all around, everyone.
It's been a great Christmas season for all of Hallmark.
Yes. And I think that'll do it for today's final episode of the season.
Of 2024.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate you guys. If you're just tuning in or you've been a long time watcher, we just want to say thank you. And again, happy holidays.
Yes.
Hearts all around.
Oh,
nailed it.
There we
go. But yeah, consider leaving us a little comment down below. Did you enjoy Finding Mr. Christmas? Was there any Hallmark films that really stood out to you this year? Let us know.
What did you think of Ezra's performance as well?
Ooh, that's a good one too. Because we're still going to do a tier list.
Yes.
That'll be the start of 2025. So get excited. Leave us a little like-see. And consider subscribing to two pretty cool gals, in my opinion. Anyways, guys, what is it called? Happy New Year. Or I guess Happy New Year.
Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays. And we'll see you in the new year. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Monkey.
Monkey. It's